So the plan is standing on its own. The company is solely responsible for administering it and handling it and managing it. So what concerns me is that what happens if post-COVID, the company is still in dire need of, earnings, and we're not making a lot of money, or things just don't go the way we are planning them. This industry is a very volatile industry. I mean, you can say it goes in cycles of decades. You could say it goes in cycles of government administrations. But what concerns me is that where is the actual protection for the people who say, okay, I'm going to leave the company early. I will create an opening for someone else to step in. And now I have something secure that if I have to incur medical expenses before I'm 65, if my health goes downhill, well, I have something to back me up. Well, if the company goes bankrupt, this really goes to the hands of a judge. And so, as most of you may already know from what we already experienced, when a company goes into bankruptcy, Chapter 11, one of the things the company immediately tries to do is unload any debt it has or any commitments it has with creditors. And so this would be like you're a creditor. If you take the Rha, like you become a client or a creditor of the company. And so my question is, where is the company and the union going to put in writing some sort of assurance that there's not only good faith, but that there's legal binding commitments, that this Rha account is not going to be something that the company is just going to abandon on a whim when things go wrong. These flight attendants also are the flight attendants who paved the way in this industry, who all the millions and billions that we made in the past decade, these were the flight attendants who helped us make that money. So they're getting this as a reward for, actually I should say as a partial reward for everything they've done. These flight attendants, their pensions were frozen. There's a lot of stuff that we gave up and that we lost. So although I see the Rha as a good incentive to take the early out, I'm curious to know where the union and the company stand in terms of giving the flight attendants who are on the fence on deciding to take this early out, who qualify for the 65-point plan, which are the only people that can get the Rha. What assurances are they going to get that if this company reaches a point where our financial state is really bad and we have to declare bankruptcy, which could happen, what is going to happen with the Rha accounts? And, telling us that, oh, we'll do everything we can not to touch it. Oh, I'm not sure that's going to cut it. And, I'm recording this video because I read social media. People text me, they send me messages. I am not telling anyone what to do. I am not telling you to take it, not to take it. What I am going to tell you is that I've been here since 2001. And I was here through all that time that we offered Veops, we offered early outs, we offered several things in my time here at American. This by far is perhaps one of the most attractive things that I have seen in a buyout or in an early out for the flight attendants. And I repeat again, healthcare costs are crippling when they come down on you. One, you don't know what the health issue will be. You don't know to what extent you're going to need treatment, co-pays. I mean, I've seen it. I want the flight attendants who are thinking about taking early out, especially those of you that are in that age of like 57 to like 61, you have the years for the 65-point plan, and you're kind of like, well, should I take it? Should I not? But you have that stretch all the way to 65 before you qualify for, Medicare. And so that group of flight attendants between 57 and 61, around there, that's a really hard decision for you to make. And I get that. I get it. It's like you're kind of in that women. You're like, so what I want and I hope is that APFA and American have been reading social media. I'm sure they do. And they see this video. And one, thank you for finally acknowledging that healthcare is an important thing for flight attendants when they leave the company. I think that this is something that we should also think about in future negotiations because it's important. And what I want to know is, what is American and APFA willing to do to, moving forward in the days that are coming before the ballots close for these Veops, what are you willing to do to assure the flight attendants who are going to take this Veop that the Rha is going to be something that you're going to honor? It's going to be something that, unless there's absolutely no other choice, it will not be touched. So I hope to see that coming in the future. I hope to see it in communications. I'm reading a lot of stuff on social media, and I just want to say to my colleagues, I understand the level of frustration from all angles, from the flight attendants who are subject to furlough, who have received warn letters. I understand those of you who are not subject to furlough, but have been off reserve for a long time and now may be on reserve. I understand those of you that are starting to think, well, am I going to get displaced? Do I have to commute? I understand those of you who are very senior and are not going anywhere because you love this job and you enjoy doing it and you don't have a need to go anywhere. I understand everyone. What I'm asking everyone to please try to do, it's very important that we try to pull back on our instincts to attack one another on issues, because these things can get so sort of political, and it's the nature of social media that we feel this liberty to say and do things that we normally wouldn't in person in front of someone else. And so please remember that each of us is fighting a different battle. Some are worse than others, but at the end of the day, we really are all in this together. And I hope that we can shift from this position of having to feel like we have to fight the company or the union to maybe having just discussions and telling the union and the company what we need, what works for us. Hey, how are you going to assure us of what's going to benefit us? The communication has been great so far with the details of what's coming out. But what we need now is legal binding assurances that what you're offering us is something that we can count on long term, is something that we are not going to go and leave and then have a rehash of what we have already lived in the past. Please read everything you can. When you have questions, sometimes social media is a good spot to go. But from this point forward, my advice to the flight attendants that are on the fence about taking, either for the flight attendants who are taking an EVLOA or who are considering the Veop, contact your local base president or vice president. They are the people who made the decision to put this out for you to pick, to choose. And so they are in the know. They know exactly what has transpired, how this went down, who were the parties involved, what the intentions were when these things were put together. And so you're probably going to get better information from your local elected leaders than you are from a social media page where, with all good intentions, you're going to get more opinion than you're going to get facts. Now, I will continue to put out several videos in the next coming days. There are several topics that I think we need to start discussing in the future, such as the 737 MAX that may be returning to flying. American will be coming after our pay for concessions. They are. United and Delta have already announced what they're doing. I know American is going to follow. We have a lot to prepare for and to plan for. And I don't mean to resist. I mean to make sure that this time around, anything that we do, anything that we vote on, we're doing so responsibly, protecting ourselves. Because to put it bluntly, the flight attendants at American have been screwed enough. And so we have to be informed and ready.